Initiative 502 was approved by voters in 2012. The initiative legalized marijuana for recreational use and provided a regulatory structure under the State Liquor Control Board.
Yes, recreational marijuana was legalized 2 years ago by initiative, by vote of the people, and it created some real issues for us in the legislature. So we're past the 2-year period now, so the legislature can now make any changes or amend it or repeal it if they wanted to. The real problem here that we didn't really know about until we got into the details was that medical marijuana use was legalized back earlier in 1999. So it creates actually two groups that use marijuana, and one was being used legally before, and now we've got a new legalization process, and that creates problems.
So you voted on a bill last week that attempts to address some of these issues, Senate Bill 5052. Can you tell us a little bit about that piece of legislation?
Yes, that was pretty comprehensive. That really got into the details about the medical marijuana part and the recreational part. And so what it set up in some detail was how medical marijuana users can use their marijuana. What they could do was have small grow operations, and they were allowed to have co-ops, meaning up to 4 people could grow, but there were some pretty tight constraints around that, because if one of the 4 left, for example, there had to be a time period before another one could enter to be able to join the group that would be able to raise marijuana. There's a whole lot of other issues too that we really can go into detail about, but that's the main purpose of 5052, is trying to set up a legal process to where medical marijuana users could legally and properly use the marijuana.
Now, as ranking member on the House Finance Committee, you were also directly involved with another piece of legislation last week, House Bill 2136. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, I sure can. The original initiative called for 3 parts: 25% tax against the growing, 25% against processing, 25% against retail. Pretty hefty tax bill. So this bill found that that was really unworkable and changed it to a solid 30%, a one-time bill at retail level at 30%. And that was the main emphasis of 2136. The problem is, with all these amendments and so forth, is do we tax the medical marijuana the same as the recreational marijuana? The medical marijuana users came in and said, don't tax us. We're not used to taxing. It's kind of like medicine. We shouldn't have to pay that tax, just the sales tax. But this bill ended up stating that everybody across the board pays the 30%. And the fear there was that there would create a black market or a market between the two that would cause problems. And people would be buying the medical marijuana really for recreational use to save the tax. So when the bill came out of final vote in the House, it was a 30% straight across the board.
Now, what is the process for these bills now moving forward here in the last 2 weeks?
Okay, these 2 bills will now go back to the Senate because there's been changes made. There'll be a conference between the House and the Senate to try to work out these differences, and then it will probably come back to us. In my opinion, we need regulation. We need some sort of bill. Even though I don't like marijuana, we need to have some regulatory system in place, not only for police officers and law enforcement, but all the people who use it or want to use it. So we need this regulation.